الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Inshallah we continue, but we'll do something slightly different, and if you guys don't mind, um, we'll go through briefly some things from the book of Tadhim Al-Ilm by Sheikh Al-Usaymi rahimahullah. It's my fault I didn't get the link earlier, but it's easy. We can at least share it now, inshallah. It's called Tadhim Al-Ilm. Let me get it. I'll tell you the reason for that, inshallah. I thought that we can take also some benefits from this great book, and it's from someone from the people of knowledge that are still with us, Sheikh Saleh Al-Usaymi Hafidhahullah. So we can get also some of the adab and the manners to be known from those who are present among us. And at the same time, what is left from the book of Tadhkirat al-Sami' wal-Mutakallim is the chapter about adab al-sukna, the adab and the manners of living in a dorm with the students, with everyone, because this is used to be, and it should be the norm. When a person comes and studies and he is present in the place, secluded from everything except learning the ilm, taking the path of studying the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the madaris is there where they used to live in the madaris. And it's till nowadays in some of the schools, you would have the places where the students, they stay. And it used to be in the same place. So the masjid and the school and the place where they live. And this has been the way of the people of knowledge all along. And maybe we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have something like that too. And the rulings of al-waqf, where things are taken care of financially for everyone, where they sit and they eat and they drink and they study, just to make them completely focused on studying. And there's no such a thing for people to be focused on ibadah like this. Ibadah is on one's way, but when it comes to ilm, because the importance of ilm, this is when a person can take the means to be secluded to study. So this is the chapter that is left, and maybe it's not related to us directly, but we'll do that in the morning, inshallah, from 9 to 1, the adab of a sukna. Today, inshallah ta'ala, now for whatever time left in after Fajr and after Maghrib, we'll try to go briefly. Again, otherwise the book requires more attention. From this book of Ta'zim al-Ilm, he mentioned, Hafidhahullah, 20 points, 20 important points when it comes to Ta'zim al-Ilm, or exalting the ilm. And we should, inshallah ta'ala, make sure that we have that information. It will be not too much details, so we need to study it, inshallah ta'ala. And that's why I'm not going to read every word of it. But in the introduction, basically the same thing, showing the importance of the ilm. And the ilm is at all times, the knowledge of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is at all times the most valuable thing. But when it comes to the individuals, when people are holding fast to their deen, they would exalt this definitely according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from them. If the iman is weak in the hearts, people will be directed more to make ta'zim or exalt the materialistic things. So it depends on the iman. If the iman is strong, we will exalt and honor the ilm of ash-shar' of the wahy. If the iman is weak, then the dunya becomes the concern. And that's why it's not exaggeration when we say that seeking knowledge to be upon the knowledge of the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, as he says, sharaful wujud, the most honorable thing for someone to exist and to be present on the face of earth. You never lose, you always gain. And if it was a merchandise that you have to pay the money for, nothing is worth purchasing this, because again, it's a istifa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala choose whoever he wills. And the ilm is what's in the heart, what stays in the heart. And that's again the subject of being present versus being from a distance, because the ilm is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put in the hearts of the people, not just something that they listen to. So we need to put the effort to make sure that we are among those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to make them learn the ilm and for the ilm to be established in their hearts, and then they will be entrusted with it and they can extend it to others. So he says, فَمَنْ عَظَّمَ الْعِلْمَ لَاحَتْ أَنْوَارُهُ عَلَيْهِ. Whoever exalt the ilm, the same, you won't find anything new in the sense that the ulama, again, from one generation to the other, the light of it will be present in him and the ilm will come to him. So we need to make sure that this is an act of worship in the heart. If you want to benefit from the ilm, you have to make the ta'zim of it. You have to exalt it. You have to see that this is such a great thing. It's the greatest thing ever for a person to seek. If you don't find this in your heart, that means you need to go back and see the dalil, the evidences in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet والسلام, so that you would develop this in your heart and to detach oneself from the attachment of matters of this world. And the reason why he called it Ta'zim al-Ilm, because this is something that the ulama mentioned before, one of which is Imam al-Darimi, rahimahullah, when he, in his book Kitab al-Ilm, and many of the ulama, they would have a musannaf, or they would compile something with regards to the ilm, to the knowledge and the importance of it. But in it, he has a bab or a chapter that calls I'zam al-Ilm, I'zam al-Ilm, to exalt the ilm and to know the importance of it. So he mentioned 20 ma'qidan, or 20 points, important points. And ma'qidan, that means it's foundations that very important for everyone that wants to take the path of ilm, or someone that is studying the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the books of the people of knowledge, for a person to learn it inshallah ta'ala, or to be upon it. So there are 20 of them. The first one, and as you see also, it's going to be repeated from the meanings that we mentioned before. تطهير وعاء العلم. Always the first thing. And the benefit of repeating something like this is to see that the matter is, there's persistency in it. Right? This is how the ilm is. So the first thing is definitely the heart, has to do with the heart, before we get into the physical aspects of it. And that's something that is a constant battle and a constant struggle that the people of knowledge should be upon, even the people of knowledge, even the highest levels of the scholars. So the first one, تطهير وعاء العلم. Tathir is purification, purifying. Wi'a is the container. Al-wi'a is the container of al-ilm, which is basically the heart, and also how he calls it wi'a. The heart is the container of the ilm and nothing else. So the ilm, we need to make sure that it's in the heart. So since for everything that you seek, that you want to have, there has to be a container for it. So the container, the place where the ilm is supposed to be, is in the heart. So if this container is not clean, it's contaminated, then it will change what's in it accordingly. So the ilm is pure, it's perfect, and the heart has impurities in it. You put the ilm in it, what the ilm is going to be? It will be something else. It will be a distorted image of the ilm. So it's not that the ilm is impure. No, you made it impure by mixing it with the impurities in the heart. So then that person, when he extend this supposed to be ilm to others, he's extending not the pure ilm that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed. And when it comes to his own benefit, which is the most important thing, he's not benefiting from the ilm the way it ought to be, because the ilm has been mixed with things, and physically things becomes completely different, right? So if you have a container that has sugar in it, for example, and things of that nature, and you put a pure thing in it, it becomes the juice of something. Or you can put a different flavor, it becomes something completely different. Water, for example, you put it in things, or in a container that has lemon and things of that nature, it becomes lemon juice. It's not water anymore, right? So this is the danger of it, that the ilm becomes something else. So that's why the importance of purifying al-mahil, or the wi'a, or the place where the ilm. And the more it's pure, the more it would be, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what's in the hearts, as we know in the hadith. وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُمْ. Allah knows and He sees what's in the hearts of the person. So since ilm is istifa, since ilm is a person is chosen, so who are the ones that are chosen to study the deen. Those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees in their hearts this purity, because this is the container of the ilm, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will choose for that heart to have the ilm in it, because it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put that ilm in those who deserve it, and those who deserve it, those who have to have pure heart. If someone is having filth in his heart with, for example, shirk, sins, bad things in it, whatever, and he did not purify it, and he studies and he get the highest levels of degrees, right? He's not been chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is fitna for human beings. He becomes a fitna for the human beings. Shaitan has lots of information, but that does not make him a person of knowledge or alim. So the ilm again is for those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to be the righteous ones, the people of knowledge in the true sense. They have to have this purity in their hearts. So the example of the ilm in the heart is like the light to the bulb or something like this. If it's clean, if the glass is clean, then the light will be extended. If it's dirty, it's not going to be benefiting. So this concept has to be clear, right? This is foundation. And then one of the things to make it easy for us, how to clean the hearts with two major things. The first one, to clean it from the najasa or the impurities of a shubuhat, doubtful matters and things like this, which has to do with matters of belief. The second one, taharatuhu min najasati shahawat, the impurities of the shahawat. So there's shubuhat and there's shahawat. And they're both najas, they're both impurities. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in the very beginning of the revelation by saying, وَثِيَابَكَ فَطَهِّرْ, Surah Al-Muddathir, وَثِيَابَكَ فَطَهِّرْ, meaning literally, and your clothes purify it. And the tafsir of it is not just the outside garment, but basically the inside, which is the heart. And both are correct, of course, but also as the tafsir is the inside. And if a person is shy from having people to see him wearing a dirty garment or piece of clothing, then the believers and those who study the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they ought to be the first when it comes to being shy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to see the filth in their hearts, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees what's in the hearts. And the hadith, there is always a foundation in this, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَنظُرُ إِلَى صُوَرِكُمْ وَأَمْوَالِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ يَنظُرُ إِلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not look at your images and some of the narrations, your wealth, but rather he looks at your hearts and your actions. So to be always aware or warned against some of the things that might be even hidden in your heart. So it's not always obvious. And that's also have been mentioned in the other book, which is a very important benefit that we learn. The diseases of the heart, you don't have to work too much to see whether you have it or not. Assume that you have it. So when you assume that you have a disease, if you know that you have a disease, you take the medicine for it. So to take the medicine to defeat and cure the shubuhat and to cure the shahawat, the medicine will increase your iman, will protect you. Not that it's going to harm you like the physical medicine when you take it for a disease that you don't have. With matters of the heart, it will benefit you for sure. And you add to this, it's even more beautiful if you have a way to find out. And a human being to himself, it's difficult to find if he has a disease in his heart or not. So that's why also the benefit of ilm, the ilm exposes the person to himself or from his teacher or so. So that's why the Sheikh, he says, if you look at many of the students of knowledge and when it comes to this, you would find many deficiencies, right? How can then the ta'zim of the ilm, how can you exalt the ilm and have the greatness of the ilm if the person is going back and forth to the shubuhat and the shahawat in his heart? It keeps on going in and out. That's a sign that the person is not exalting the ilm, is not purifying the ilm. That's why we have to be extra and extremely careful with what we see and what we hear and what we listen. And nowadays it's more fitan than before, right? Even if you come to a place and you're alone in the place and you're away from the outside world, but we have the entire world with us in our phones and things of that nature. So it's like building and destroying, building and destroying. So those who take the path of knowledge, that's why the path of knowledge is a rough one, is a tough path to take, because you have to defeat the desire within your own self. So to stay away from listening to this person and to that person, and that person said, and this person responded to what he said, and all kinds of shubuhat in the heart, and debates and all of this. Stay away from all of this if you're someone that is diligently wants to study the deen of Allah. Right? So this is what's special for those who want to focus. Otherwise, you will be deprived from some or many of the lights of the knowledge that ought to be there. And as we mentioned, even which is valid to learn later, it distracts the person, like the differences of opinions among the ulama, and how the ulama, they clearly stated that this is not something to be busy with in the beginning stages of seeking knowledge. And this is a method that doesn't bring no shubuhat, no shahawat, the differences of opinions among the ulama. It's part of knowledge, but to stay away from it so that you don't get yourself distracted. So imagine if a person is distracting himself with sinful things that he hears, or falsehood, thinking that I want to know it so that I can defeat it. No, you're focusing on studying the ilm, and later on, inshallah ta'ala, this can be taken care of. And that's why one of the diseases or the problems in the days that we live in is that what the ulama say, there's no such a thing as an environment for special things to be said. Like, for example, at the time of Imma, when Imam Shafi'i, for example, he debates with someone, he's not debating in front of the masses of the Muslims. He's debating in an environment that is sufficient with the people of knowledge so that no one will be negatively affected. Nowadays, everything is on the internet. Everything, the whole world can hear it. And they would misunderstand it and take things out of context and things of that nature. So to be extremely careful with this. And then you have, when it comes to these 2 points specifically, but there is more details to it. When it comes to the impurities, shubuhat and shahawat, there is shirk, is najasa, is impurity. How we stay away from impurities the same way. Najasatul bid'ah. Bid'ah is najasa. Najasatul ma'siyah, as he mentioned also in his sharh, and Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, he mentioned. So this is the first one. We can stay and spend a long time in that first one, on how to purify the hearts and the actions to purify the heart. This is something or part of the ilm that we need to learn. The second one is ikhlasul niyyati fi, and this also mentioned in the previous subjects, and that is to have purity of or sincerity of intentions. And we talked about some of the evidences that we need to know. The hadith إنما الأعمال بالنيات, the ayah وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين حنفاء. Shahwat is the desires, the lustful desires, the sinful desires. So al-ikhlas, as mentioned before, is the purity of intentions, which is different than the previous one. The previous one, to purify the heart, to clean the heart from anything that contaminated. This is when it comes to the specific action, to make it sincerely, purely for the sake of Allah. They have not been commanded except to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mukhlisina lahu ad-din, in state of purification of the deen to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hunafa, away from shirk. And al-ilmu ibadah. Ilm is ibadah, so to seek the knowledge with ikhlas. So the hadith al-a'malu bin-niyya, innama al-a'malu bin-niyat, or al-a'malu bin-niyya, which is another narration also in Sahih Imam Bukhari, and we talked about the hadith before. And Abu Bakr al-Marudhi, he said, سمعت رجلا, this is a good athar, he said, I heard a man saying to Abi Abdullah Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah, وذكر له الصدق والإخلاص. He mentioned to him truthfulness, al-ikhlas, sincerity. فقال أبو عبد الله بهذا ارتفع القوم. So Imam Ahmad, he said, by these two things, الصدق, truthfulness, and sincerity, this is how the people, meaning the people of knowledge, they were elevated. Not by the physical information that they pass on, but with al-ikhlas and al-sidq, which is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows about it. Al-sidq, truthfulness, and al-ikhlas, sincerity. And therefore, this is how the person will attain the ilm and would benefit from it, is according to how ikhlas he has. He mentioned, Hafidahullah, 4 usul, 4 principles when it comes to al-ikhlas and the intentions. We talked about it before, so this is like a review. what's mentioned in the book of Tadhkirat al-Sami' wal-Mutakallim. The first one, رفع الجهل عن نفسه, to be away from ignorance. So رفع is to lift ignorance from yourself. Ignorance is a disease. So we have the disease of ignorance. How to cure ourselves? With ilm, with knowledge. So to cure oneself, to lift this ignorance from oneself by getting to know what is mandatory upon us when it comes to the different ubudiyat and worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to make the nafs or oneself knows the objectives of the commands of Allah and what Allah forbids. What Allah commanded us, what Allah forbade us, and the objectives of that, and the wisdom behind it, and things like this. So to be away from jahl, with all what that means. The second one, رفع الجهل عن الخلق. So the first one is oneself. You learn the ilm for your own self. The second one, to be a mean for people to be cured from the disease of jahl, by teaching them, by guiding them to what is benefiting for them in this world and in the hereafter. And also the default thing in the human beings is that they are jahil, they are ignorant till they do something to remove that jahl with ilm. And how they would learn? They would learn from the people of knowledge. So that lineage has to continue. So when we see that it's becoming weak, who's going to carry this deen for the people to continue, for the deen to be revived? It's not about any personal gain, but it's about continuing to eliminate the jahl from the hearts of the people. Number 3, إحياء العلم وحفظه من الضياع, which is basically related to the second one, and that is to revive the ilm. The ilm at certain places, at certain times, might look as if it's, people cause it to die. There's no ilm anymore. Right? But the deen would never disappear from the face of earth. There's always going to be people of knowledge. There's always going to be ilm present. But at sometimes it might be very less. So one of the intentions is to revive the ilm and to spread it and to protect it from being lost. And some parts of the world, sometimes you would find the ilm in a particular city, in a particular town, is lost, is gone. The people used to be, for example, upon the tawheed, upon the sunnah and things like this, and people didn't take care of that ilm, then it becomes or reaches a state where the shirk is what's prevailing, is the bid'ah is what is prevailing. وَلَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ بَعْدَ إِصْلَاحِهَا. Do not corrupt on the earth after it's been rectified and righteous. The Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they went to many different places on the face of earth and they established the deen in it. And many of the Muslim countries where the deen was established in the proper way and things like this. And then when the people did not take care of this responsibility and the people of knowledge did not spread this knowledge in the proper way from one generation to the other, and it's by the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you would find the fasad or the corruption to what have been already rectified and righteous. So one of the intentions, ihya'ul ilm, to revive the ilm, and this is such a great meaning that the rewards of it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best the magnitude of it. Number 4, al-amalu bil-ilm, to act upon the ilm, to act upon one's knowledge. So these 4 things, which is also, as mentioned before, to for oneself, to lift al-jahl from oneself, ignorance, to lift the jahl or the ignorance from others, to revive the ilm, and to act according to the ilm. And if a person doesn't have this, then he should not waste his time by not having this. He should not waste his time and take another way, correct the intentions. And as we said, as a rule, never allow anything of intentions or things like this to take you away from what is good. Rather, you work on your intentions rather than leaving such an important path to take, especially if it's made easy for oneself. So he mentioned some things of how the early generations of Al-Islam, as-Salaf al-Salih, they would have so much fear that they don't have sincerity in their seeking knowledge. And that's why they would be away from claiming that they're upon knowledge, because when it comes to reality, like say, for example, if someone asks you, you study, for example, the chapter of Tahara perfectly, according to a particular madhab, say, to contain all of the different opinions and things like this, it might be difficult. So say, for example, you mastered Kitab al-Tahara according to Madhab Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, mastered it with all what it means. And if someone asks you, do you have the knowledge of it? You'd say yes. You're not lying if you say yes. Salaf, they used to not to say this. Why? Because of this issue of al-ikhlas. Because the ilm is where's the place of the ilm? In the heart, again. So do they have the information? The information is not ilm. The ilm is what's in the heart. So that's why they would fear that if they praise themselves as if they're praising their hearts, in which only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, and that's why they say that they don't have knowledge. They are seekers of knowledge like this because of, again, the knowledge is in the heart and because of this matter of sincerity. And that's why Hisham al-Dastuwai, one of the great narrators of the hadith, by narrators of al-Bukhari, and the narrators of the Bukhari, that the Bukhari, rahimahullah, have narrated the hadith from them, as they call them, they pass the qantara, they pass the bridge of authenticating them. When it comes to their religion, when it comes to their knowledge, the hadith is to be taken from someone that is well knowledgeable in the subject, and he is someone that is known to be righteous and to be among those who are obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all of them this is the best of the ummah. So one of them, he used to say, Wallahi, by Allah, ما أستطيع أن أقول إني ذهبت يوما أطلب الحديث أريد به وجه الله عز وجل. I cannot say that I went one day to seek the hadith, seeking the face of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to see the face of Allah and the rewards of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? He cannot say, Wallahi, my intentions are sincere. In which you would find people when they argue, Wallahi, I'm sincere in this. They don't understand what sincerity means. Right? You cannot attribute this to yourself. You ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be sincere. And we seek that from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but Allah knows what's in the hearts. And it doesn't mean that a person would say that I'm a hypocrite, I don't have good intentions. That's not what it means. But al-ikhlas and what's in the heart, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. And Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he was asked, هل طلبت العلم لله? Someone asked him, did you seek the ilm for the sake of Allah? فقال لله عزيز ولكنه شيء حبب إلي فطلبته. He says to Allah, Aziz, this is such a great thing, but it's rather something I loved, so I sought it. See how he would say it to himself like this. To attribute al-ikhlas to oneself, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade the believers from making tazkiyah to themselves. فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى. Do not praise yourselves, because Allah knows who have more taqwa. And this ayah, we always use it for others. So don't praise others because Allah knows them best. No, أنفسكم includes also yourself. So you do not know yourself. Allah knows you. رَبُّكُمْ أَعْلَمُ بِكُمْ. Allah knows you more than yourself. So you don't say about yourself that I have ikhlas. You take the means of al-ikhlas and you're commanded to be upon al-ikhlas. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best who have ikhlas and who's not. So that's why if a person knows this, he will constantly seek the help from Allah. He will constantly take the means to be sincere. So al-ikhlas is a foundation. It's something that has to be done, otherwise the deeds are not accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he mentioned the same statement of Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah. So this is maybe the third time or the fourth time we mention that statement. ما عالجت شيئا أشد علي من نيتي لأن تتقلب عليه. Here, an extension to it, which means there's nothing that I struggled with and worked more intense upon more than my niyyah, because it keeps on changing on me, because again the heart changes. And with the niyyat, because they always go through this. ربما أحدث بحديث واحد ولي نية فإذا أتيت على بعضه تغيرت نيتي فإذا الحديث الواحد يحتاج إلى نيات. He might read one hadith and he has one intention, but then when the more that he get into the hadith and learn it more, his niyyah will change. So the one hadith needs many intentions. Never be satisfied with your intentions as long as you're constantly working on it. So this is the second one, which is al-ikhlas. Take the third one, inshallah, and stop. I'm not sure if we'll be able to finish it now. which is جمع همة النفس عليه, to bring your nafs and your concern and your zeal upon the ilm. And that's always something that is repeated at all times. And that's for those who want to diligently study. When you're distracted, you can get some ilm, but you're not going to be really someone that is focused on طلب العلم. فإن شعث النفس إذا جمع على العلم التام التأم واجتمع. And nafs is dispersed, is going everywhere. And we see that. Your own self is at home, at work, money, provisions, future, past, whatever there is. So you need to get all of this to be focused on the ilm. And if a person is busy with the ilm and with other than the ilm, he become more distracted. So how to bring yourself, your heart upon the ilm and to focus on it, he says by three things. The first one, الحرص على ما ينفع, احرص على ما ينفعك, to have this eagerness to do what is benefiting for yourself. So to know the benefits of the ilm, and then you have that concern inside of you that you want to do what is benefiting. And because once a person, he knows what's benefiting, then he will have that eagerness, الحرص. The second one, الاستعانة بالله عز وجل, to seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Seeking help from Allah with استعن بالله ولا تعجز, as the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام said, احرص على ما ينفعك واستعن بالله ولا تعجز. And this is the words of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, that is wahi from Allah. It's not just words of wisdom. Of course, it's the perfect wisdom, but it's something to be applied physically. So the first thing, know what's benefiting for you, and that's the evidences of it and the nusus that talks about the benefits of ilm. Have the ta'zim of the ilm in the heart, so you will want to be upon it. So then what to do afterwards? وَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. Sta'in billah, seek help from Allah, with all what that means. Your heart is fully relying upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't help you, you won't be helped. Which is in everything in our life. And one of which is the most valuable thing ever. So seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in seeking the ilm, and be sincere and be truthful in that al-isti'ana, or seeking help from Allah. The third one, وَلَا تَعْجَزْ. وَلَا تَعْجَزْ means don't be unable. Don't put yourself in a situations where you're not able to do it. You have deficiencies, you have physical barriers, or you're not able to. Al-ajz is when someone is not able to do something that he knows that it's benefiting. Right? That's, you know that coming for Salat al-Fajr is such a benefiting thing, but your laziness is making you unable. And al-ajaz also refers to when someone, he wants to do something, but he's not able because, say, for example, he's old in age, or he has some form of ailment. So this is وَلَا تَعْجَزْ. So whoever wants to bring his himma and his zeal and his focus, then as he calls it, فَلْيُشْعِلْ فِي نَفْسِهِ شُعْلَةَ الْحِرْصِ عَلَيْهِ. Like he gave the example of igniting the hirs. Ignite the hirs. There's so much eagerness to be upon. And the hirs is a word that is used for greed. Be greedy. Meaning in the sense that you want the ilm for yourself. That greed, when a person is greedy money-wise, how he has hirs so much. He's such a greedy person, and he goes out to earn money, how he is diligently and determined to earn the money because he's greedy. The people of knowledge should be even more when it comes to the ilm, because it's benefiting for you in this world and in the hereafter. And to seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and don't give up. Don't say it's difficult, it's boring, I'm not able to. If you find this in yourself, know that as human beings, we have these types of things. So do something to offset this. Get to revive the matter in your heart. Seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as the people of knowledge. Read about the early generations of Islam. Take a rest, take a time off, an hour or a few minutes or whatever. Do physical activities, whatever there is. But do something that you would return back to the ilm with nashat, with determination and energy and things like this. So each sentence of the hadith is really a way of life. So احرص على ما ينفعك, and that's the importance of knowing what is benefiting. استعن بالله, seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and don't be lazy, don't be weak when it comes to seeking the path of knowledge. If it requires for you to travel for the furthest place on earth, mashallah. If it's gonna make you lose so much of money and so on, so what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will replace it for you, inshallah ta'ala, with the barakah, with the blessings of the ilm. But with the conditions, as we mentioned, it's not like for a person to ruin his life. So, and then he said a statement from Al-Junayd, ما طالب أحد شيئا بجد وصدق إلا ناله فإن لم ينله كله نال بعضه, which is a rule that never fails. No one sought anything بجد, with determination and صدق and truthfulness, that he truly want to attain this. So determination and truthfulness, unless he would have it, he would attain it. If he doesn't get it all, he will get some of it. So the problem always is what is in our inward being and not our physical abilities. So never be deceived. Oh, this person is stronger than me, he's smarter than me. This even matters of worldly matters. He has more money because he's smarter, and they convince people with all kinds of foolishness based on jahl, ignorance. That has nothing to do with the reality of things. You know how many dumb people, if it's correct to say that word, that they're very rich and they're not smart, right? And the same thing, how many smart people on the face of earth and they don't have money. So it's not necessarily a law that never fails. And that's why the al-jidd was-sidq, al-jidd was-sidq, determination and truthfulness. If a person has these both, especially with matters of deen, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sees what's in the heart. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would reward the person and he would guide him. He's the most merciful subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if he is not fit, for example, to be among the people of knowledge, he will get some of it. He will be directed to be upon what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with a sidq, truthfulness, and the determination. So the words fanhad, get up, right? Get up from your laziness, wake up from your ghafla, from your forgetfulness. فإن العبد إذا رزق همة عالية فتحت له أبواب الخيرات. If the person is opened for him a high zeal, all kinds of gates of khairat and goodness will be opened to him, and al-masarrat, the happy things will compete to reach him. Things are waiting for you, but you need to show your zeal, right? So all kinds of goodness are waiting for you, but you have to show that zeal for it, and you take the means for it. You would find it competing to have you, like the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when it comes to the dunya. Those who seek the dunya versus those who seek the hereafter. The one that seeks the hereafter, أتته الدنيا وهي راغمة. The one that wakes up in the morning, and أصبح وهمه الآخرة. Whoever wakes up in the morning and his concern is the hereafter, what happens? جعل الله غناه في قلبه. Allah will make him rich in his heart. In the statements, وأتته الدنيا وهي راغمة. The dunya will come to him against its will. يعني you would find the dunya coming. You don't have to chase after it. So from the same concept, if the person's heart is upon sincerity, determination, truthfulness, and applying this hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, احرص على ما ينفعك واستعن بالله ولا تعجز, you will find the happy matters coming to you. Things are coming your way as long as you have that strength in your heart. So it's all about the strength in the heart that shows the truthfulness, that the person would start taking the one step after the other. And as one important statement here, and we'll stop here because of the time, I will continue later tonight, inshallah. ومن تعلقت همته بمطعم أو ملبس أو مأكل أو مشرب لم يشم رائحة العلم. Whoever تعلقت همته, we have to be precise in understanding what the ulama they say. Whoever his himma, what's himma? His zeal, his concerns, what he wants to be upon, is attached to. So, and also that has to do with the heart, is attached to, it's clinging to eating and clothing, things, to materialistic things or drinking, whatever there is, he's not going to smell the fragrance of knowledge. So again, does that mean that the person should not eat, should not wear clothing, should not drink? No. What's the mas'ala here is about ta'allaqat himmatu. And the ilm makes the person able to, as we said, tasawwur al-mas'ala. You need to have the tasawwur, the right perception of the mas'ala, whether it's fiqh, whether it's aqidah. What's the mas'ala here? Masala is it's not about eating and drinking. You can eat, mashallah, good food. You can wear clothing. You can drive nice cars. This is not the issue here. The issue is your heart attached to it or not? This is your himma. This is what will drive you. This is what will make you happy or sad. This is what will make you lazy or energetic, determined or not determined. These things. If that's the case, then a person would not smell the fragrance of ilm. But if the heart is attached to the ilm, this is when the person will get the benefit of it. So then he would talk about how to increase and elevate our zeal and himma in matters, but we'll do that inshallah ta'ala tonight after Maghrib if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will. So again, if you're joined late or so, we're going through the book of Tadhim Al-Ilm. You might have the khulasa or the summary of it, just 20 points that Sheikh Hafidhahullah, Sheikh Al-Usaymi Hafidhahullah is talking about it. And we'll add this inshallah and we'll finish it inshallah ta'ala by the will of Allah. So we have both inshallah. Any questions?
What does ما ينفعك mean?
احرص على ما ينفعك. ما ينفعك is what's benefiting to you. So احرص, be greedy, be determined to do what is benefiting for you. And we don't know what's benefiting for us. We'll leave the matter to Allah. And from the wahy from Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly stated what's benefiting for us. I'm not sure if there's any questions. Anything else? Someone is asking, can the brothers form an online group to help each other with reviewing notes, especially for us online students? Mashallah, this is a good thing, of course, but as long as it's sometimes groups are people, they make groups and then they start sharing things and clips of things, and even if it's just focus, if that's the only purpose, whoever forms this group, they should be very strict. Even if they share a clip of the greatest scholars reminder of something, then that should be avoided. If you want to do something, focus on what you're doing. And there's so many other groups, mashallah. But this is one of the deficiencies in the issues of when people make a group for something, they should not use it for something else, and that should be respected. And not to think that I want to share the benefit, but as long as it's not in that group that is initiated for that particular thing, unless it's allowed. Even in the sukna, in the waqf, this is something that the ulama mentions. Those who come and stay, for example, to study, they should follow what those who made the waqf to be for. Like if you want to do something else, you can't do that. You have to follow what they agreed upon when they built the matter or things like this. And the same thing with the groups. If they can do that, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help them, inshallah. One quick question. I'm a part-time student. My level in Arabic is beginner. You mentioned next year all lessons will be in Arabic, inshallah. I want to attend the next year classes, but my Arabic may not enough. What do you recommend to do? If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us life for a year, then the question itself has that sense of ajiz. I'm not able to. We talked about don't ولا تعجز. So احرص على ما ينفعك. Seek what's benefiting for you. So study the Arabic language. استعن بالله. Seek help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And don't give up. Don't say I'm not able to. We're talking about if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will after a year. So that should be sufficient, and take one step after the other. Try to go through the book that we study. Listen to the lectures. Take the exams. And inshallah ta'ala, it will be easy, inshallah ta'ala. So it's too early to mention that, but inshallah you will be able to do it, inshallah. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وسبحانك اللهم ربنا وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. If there's any other questions, inshallah, we'll answer it later, inshallah ta'ala. Okay, shahawat and shubuhat. Shahawat is doubts. Shahawat is desires that are sinful desires, and shubuhat, doubtful matters, something to do with aqidah, with things of that nature.